Welcome back to From the Petty Corner. I'm Petty Diana, and today I have the Kryptonian, Mr. USA, Mr. Universe, Mr. Airman, Mr. I Be Doing the Most, Mr. Alan Klingbeil here with me. Welcome back to the Petty Corner, Alan.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Petty. Mrs. Petty or Diana, however you'd like to be called. But yeah, this is,
Ma'am. No.
yeah, there it is. Okay, thank God. I was so worried. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
Well, you were a coach on Power Slap 9,
hmm
and you got a short notice call.
hmm
So, yeah, we're going to be recapping Power Slap 9 and your experience coaching and the matches. So, thank
Sounds
you for
awesome.
being here.
Of course, of course. Yeah, super excited. Love your show. So,
Well, thank you. Yeah. So, like I said, you got a short notice call for this because something had happened with one of the coaches. Um, but like, I just need to know, like, what were you doing when you got the call, and what was running through your head? Like, what did they say to you when they called you? Because you were only there a couple days right before the match, right?
oh yeah, yeah. No, I told them that I was going to be out there in case I needed a backup for a match. That didn't pan out. And so I just figured I'd be going as a spectator. So I had two tickets. Originally was going to go with my special lady, and she ended up not wanting to go because we didn't know what the environment would be like as far as like, excuse me, like what is it like as a lady being in this sort of country that has unusual customs for us, right? Not necessarily unusual customs, but you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
anyway, very touristy. Like next time, she's definitely going to come out. Probably not going to come out to Saudi Arabia if that happens, But but anyway, so moving forward, so I was already there. Like I was already going to go. I got encouraged by Slap News to just reach out to them, so I did that. And because they're like, oh, if you're going to go, you should let them know that you're going to be there. And so I did that. And then they're like, no, you thank you, but no, we're good. And I was like, oh shoot, like okay, which was like, oh, I was like, you guys, do you not like me anymore? What happened? But anyway, this is kind of rambling. I'm so sorry. So basically, I come home and I think I just got off work and I got a text from the man Frank himself, and he was like, okay, you can. What did he say? He's like, I think he said something like, "Hey, we might need you as a backup coach. Can you be ready just in case?" And I said yes. And then the next day I came home and he was like, "Okay, you could be a coach." And I was like, "Sweet, let's go." It was awesome.
Hell
So
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like huge honor and huge shout out to Frank. Like, he has no rhyme or reason to text any of us, right? He's the president of Power Slap. At the end of the day, we're just some fighters. So totally love it when I get something like that from them. And then Erica as well reached out to me and kind of gave me the deets. I fly out there. I show up. I'm basically a coach, and I'll let you continue with your questions. But yeah,
No, I love it. So it was kind of like they almost kindly told you to go F yourself. No, I'm just kidding.
no, they would
No,
never do that.
because like you're like, hey, I'm gonna be there. Like, no, we don't need you. That was just a joke. That was just me being petty. But and then it just kind of worked out. Like you were gonna be there anyway. So then so then they told you that.
Please
So
don't fire
that's
me.
pretty awesome because then they actually needed you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, how was the whole Abu Dhabi experience? Was that your first time ever being there?
Yes. Yeah. I had flown a lot of places, but I've never been there, so that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Did you get time to explore things? Because I know like a lot of the strikers and everything got there earlier than you, so they got to go, like ride camels and do the sand dune rides and Ferrari World and all that stuff. Were you able to do any of that kind of stuff when you were over there?
Um, I didn't get to do as much as I'd like. I would have loved to do the dunes and the camel ride. That would have been dope. But at the end of the day, I was there to do a job. And I really enjoy what we do, so I couldn't care less. Like some of those things, I'm like, I'm gonna do them in life anyway. It's no big deal, right? So, um,
Yeah.
I got like a pass to go to SeaWorld and the F1 place, but I never ended up going. So, I think there were so many couples there, and I was there by myself. I like every time I wanted to go somewhere, I was like, "Oh, my wife and I are going to go," and I'm like, I'm not going to third wheel with someone like to these places."
Yeah.
So I just chilled at the pool, and we kind of walked around, and I saw a little bit of Abu Dhabi, and that was nice. But yeah, I mean, everything is so exciting there anyway, right? Like, yeah, I'll let you continue, but yeah.
Well, I'm glad that everything worked out and that you were there and you were actually the winning coach the short notice winning coach. So congratulations on that.
Was there any
Um,
doubt in your mind? There was, obviously.
no, actually, so I did a live stream watch party, and they're like, "Hey, like, how do you think Alan's going to do coaching? Because you had never coached before, right?"
Hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I think he's going to do great because he's in the Air Force and I was in the Air Force, and the leadership that you gain from that, I was like, I think he's going to do great. And then William Shockey's like, yeah, I was in the Army. Like, you get that leadership mentality. He's going to do great. And then you
Hell yeah.
won.
Let's go. That's what's
Yeah.
up.
So the first match was Wes Mita and Jashel Awa. I know you people call him Awa Jashel because his Instagram name, but he told me his name was Jashel Awa, so I'm gonna go with that. That match
Go for
kind of
it.
sucked because we didn't see it on the pre-recordings, but Dana White went live on his Instagram during it, so we did get to see it from Instagram. I was a little bit concerned for West when I saw the weigh-ins because Jashel was so much bigger than him, and when newcomers come in, we normally see them foul. And I mean, he came out and he didn't. Awa didn't foul, and then Wes ended up knocking him out. But you were in Joshel Awa's corner. What was that like for you? Because first of all, there's like maybe a cultural barrier there, and then someone you don't know, someone with no experience. So, did you get time to actually coach him before he went up there? I
Not
did hear you
really.
yelling, "Get up, Awa, get up!"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was lucky enough to have about an hour with him before we went up there. The problem with that is it's like we showed up on location. I have like one pad to train this dude, and and there is that cultural barrier, right? So I think I really struggled with that because I was like, hey, man, I'm going to give you the best shot. Like Frank and Erica came in, we're like, hey, and I was like, I put my cap on. I was like, let's show them what we got, like we're a circus, and it looked good and everything, but there were just little things that number one I had never coached before, so he's my first guy I'm coaching up on the stage there. So I'm nervous, because I'm like I don't know how to do this because there was no instruction manual. It was just like yeah, just go out there and like I didn't even know where to stand. I was like, do I stand? Like what do I do? uh, because it's a new stage. Like the other one, it's like I've been here a million times, at the Apex or whatever, and you're just like, oh, I feel at home. But you're in Abu Dhabi, you're in the Space 42 arena. We're there. I sort of trained him. I gave him some defensive tips. I don't know that he utilized it on that round that he got knocked out, unfortunately, like completely. He did a little bit, but yeah, it was just kind of a bummer because he's like one of those guys that I was like, oh man, I wish I had more time with him. And there were a lot of people that were like, oh, I want to train with you, and then they didn't follow up. And it was like, I can't hunt you down because I don't have your contact details, and I can only do so much. And I told people I'll be in the gym, we could train. So anyway, we get out there. He's going up there. He's doing all right. He's not fouling, which I was personally so thankful because I thought he was gonna like club the crap out of him. But he is. He's a professional mixed martial artist, so he's got some really good eye hand coordination. And we went over like how to strike and stuff like that, right? And how not to like flinch when you're doing defense because a lot of the MMA fighters do, like this maneuver basically. So got him not to do that. And yeah, I don't know. I think the hardest part about it was I was like, man, if I could do it over again, I think I could have got him to win. Now I really like Wes, so it's kind of hard too because I'm like, oh no, I like that guy. Like, I'm happy for him. Yeah,
I know it's so hard.
yeah. So there you go. That's kind of the take on the Hulk is what his nickname is. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, so that's perfect. Like Superman and the Hulk. That's so cool.
yeah. We can fight each other someday. It'd be great.
All right. Well, the next match was Kiali and Darren. Hats off to you because you guys ended up winning that match. But I will say I was a little frustrated watching it. It is hard to watch sometimes when things aren't called when they're supposed to be. I know that's not your fault. And this is a new sport, so things will change as things go along. I don't know if you noticed this, but Darren did flinch, and Kiali only got fingertips on him, and then they said good slap, and then every time they show the replay, it's like, damn, he flinched. But at the end of the day, it is what it is because you have to be able to take the slap because like what happens if Kiali didn't win the coin toss, he still would have got slapped anyway. And then it kind of looked like there was a step, so I'm not sure what they can do there. But maybe I don't know. But yeah, so what was that match like for you? Because that's another, I guess, foreigner, not from the U.S. that you were coaching.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was with both of them on season 3, so that was a lot of fun. And I love Kaylee. We've hung out plenty of times. Gotten to meet his girlfriend and everything like that. They're a very nice couple. But yeah, so Kaylee is my boy, right? Like I was just like, oh shoot, this sucks. Like it was like one of those scenarios where like, oh god, what do I do? But I did. I coached Darren. I gave him some tips, and he had, he's a little bit experienced, right? He's coming in with 2 matches previously, and he's a BKFC fighter. So I'm like, okay, and I gave him some tips on defense and stuff. And now, as far as the flinching goes, it's hard because when you're viewing the video, you have certain angles, right? So my
Hmm.
question is, the rule isn't that if you flinch. The rule is if you move, which is this is what's considered flinch. If you move and it changes the trajectory of the slap, right? So if it causes it to be a different slap. So if KLE's slap was going to be fingertips anyway, then they're not going to call it, right? But we don't see all the camera angles, so it's hard for me to know how far back did Darren move, and would it have changed how the slap was delivered. So I'll give you that, right? Like I totally agree. I'm like, yeah, well, he slipped by on that one, right? I don't know if
Yeah,
he did or didn't, right? Like
which
they
it
said it wasn't.
happens.
Yeah, happens all the time, right? So, um, outside of that, I'm not gonna lie to you. The speed on Darren's slap was incredible. I was like, I went back and I slowed it down, and the speed at which his arm is moving, is like they really need to like do some sort of measurement on that. Like it's like the frame movement and like how fast his arm is going, because he went faster than anybody I've ever seen. Like, and that's where you get that slap like absolute knockout power, where he was just like, because from here, like on that, and then to here, it's almost a blur no matter how much you slow it down, right? It's just like and goes straight through. I've never seen anything like it. I was like, damn, I really love Kaylee, but that was one of the best damn slaps I've ever seen in my entire life, right? Like,
Yeah, no,
uh,
I love him too. So it was hard to watch. But yes, no discredit to Darren because, like you said, he comes from a BKFC background. I believe he was a UK champ too. So like
yeah,
we know he's got power and he's got the skills and all that.
yeah,
But yeah, so they did show like the bunch of the angles for the flinching or
okay,
for like they showed the above angle and it was like
right.
that.
Michael
So I mean
Bisping thought
his
the same
finger.
thing. Yeah,
But I mean, I went back and read the rules, and it said like the fingertips and the palm have to land simultaneously. It didn't even give any room for the palm to land. So, I mean, that is controversial, but it is what
right,
it is. It
right.
happens to a lot of people, and I'm sure as the sport keeps growing and the the judging keeps getting better
I
and
don't
all
know
that stuff,
anybody
we'll,
that
we'll see
did
a lot of
this
things.
during the match
But
with the
I
draw.
actually would like to see maybe 2 refs per match, one looking at the head and one looking at the feet, because I feel like they miss a lot of stepping, and it's like because I was doing a watch party, right? And people
Yeah,
are like, "Oh, he steps," and I was like, "Oh, I didn't even see the step because I'm like paying
they
attention to the slap." You know what I mean?
they
So
do.
I feel like they need to have 2 referees, like one looking at the head and one looking at the feet, or use like some kind of AI technology, like your feet can move this much, but like the camera was like, "Oh, it moved too much," then penalize them. I don't know. That's just the thought.
Hey, no, they do have you don't see them. There's refs sitting on the ground that are
Hmm.
like they're just looking at people's feet the whole time. That's all they do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's another person that just looks at your head movement, and then there's another person that like they have like 3 different types of referees that are like paying attention to what you do. So if they don't catch it, that's on that ref. But it's not
Yeah.
because you only see these people appear, but they actually have like a bunch of different people, bunch of different camera angles. Like I've had the pleasure of looking at the screens that they're looking at, and they'll go and they'll be like, and
Yeah. No,
this,
yeah, I didn't know that. So that's actually nice to know.
yeah.
But I do want to ask you this because Jason Herzog walked up to you after Kiali slapped Darren, and it looked like he said something to you and Darren. But like, do you remember what he said to you in the corner?
Um, yeah, I want to say maybe he did say something like, I believe what Jason Herzog said exactly was he moved a little bit, like his head moved a little bit, but it wasn't worthy of a foul. So be
Okay.
conscious of that. Is like exactly what Herzog said, like possibly verbatim. So yeah, so just be
Okay.
conscious of that. And then so I just like reaffirmed that to him, and like I saw Michael, I could hear Michael Bisping talking about it. Like I knew that had happened, but as far as the pivot, you mentioned the pivot earlier, and I haven't reviewed it enough to see if the pivot happened before or after the point of contact, because you can pivot if you hit the face. So if I hit your face with the slap, the moment I make the point of contact, I can pivot through all the way. So it just really depends on whether or not he did that or
Mhm.
not. I don't know if you got a chance to
If
see
I
that.
remember correctly, I think he picked his foot up before the point of contact, and then like his whole hips and stuff moved after, which that's allowed. But I mean, that's just me trying to remember, so I could be wrong. And I don't want to discredit him. Like I
It
said,
feels
it
like
is
you
what it is.
do.
But it's good
I
to have
feel like
open
you're really trying to
conversations too.
discredit it right now.
No, no,
My
like I
guy,
said, he's
my
very
winner. Get out of here, Penny.
no, I really don't want to because like I know like the background that he comes from and he does have power and I do want to see him do good because he's been, in the sport since the beginning too. So,
Him and his wife.
yeah, I would love to see his wife come back into the sport.
I know. I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Like, they have to be waiting for a certain moment. It's the only thing I can think. They're like, there's going to be this great arc. Like, he's going to be like a champion. She's going to like come. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, it's the only thing that makes sense to me. But anyway,
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, the women's division's growing, so maybe she's just waiting for more competition to come in.
let's
And then
go.
she's going to come in and steal the show.
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
All right. So the next one was Danny and Evian. Danny got to strike first. Do you think that Danny did enough damage where it kind of threw Evian off? Because we've seen that before, where
Yeah.
they just get thrown so off. So yeah, what was your perspective on that?
I think after the second hit, it was just like the first hit, it was a good hit, and I think Evian was a little dazed by it, but I think he could have recovered. I I don't know. I think he the second time he got hit, it really threw him off like 100% because it looked like his slap form was on point. It was just off trajectory, so it was kind of like
Hmm.
just straight to the neck, like what you're saying. It's just like he's just dazed. There's nothing you could do about it. So yeah,
Yeah, I will say for a super heavyweight, like his technique and form really impresses me. Which he comes from a football background, but like he has very good movement. Like he can go so far back on the on the wind up and everything. Like I
right.
love that about him because he's very like flexible. I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you though too because it looked like after the second slap that Donnie gave him, he was like playing with his like mouth. Like I don't know if his like cheek or his tooth. Did he voice anything to you about that? Because I know Donnie knocked out the Crazy Hawaiian's tooth in one of the matches. So I was
I
like,
remember
holy
that.
shit, did that happen again? Like, did his knock his tooth out? Because he just kept going like this. And
Yeah.
like he kind of did it after the first slap, but then again after the second. So I didn't know if like his cheekbone or anything happened there with his tooth or his cheek.
Yeah, I would like don't take this for like take it with a grain of salt is what I'm trying to say. I One of the fighters I remember was bleeding a little bit and it might have been him. So I think maybe that's what you were saying is him just kind of like because sometimes you get internal damage here
Hmm.
from that impact and I think that's basically all that was going on. If I recall correctly, I remember him like wiping it or something like that, and I saw some blood, and I was like, hey, "Whoa!" Uh,
You're like,
yeah,
I don't do blood.
yeah. Just kidding. That'd be hilarious.
So the next one was Jackie and Robin, which Robin is probably really upset with me right now because I did a little pick video and I'll never do that ever again. But I picked Jackie to win based off of experience. Like I said,
Loser.
yeah, no, she called me out. She said you're eating your words right now. So I mean, I'm sure she's got some choice words for me. um, but yes, she's from Scotland, so you got another foreigner. I was very surprised by her. I think it's because I didn't know what to expect, and usually when new people come in, they do foul. But it seemed like only the veterans fouled this time, and the new people did great. So good on them.
I'm not.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, Robin came in and she lasted. Like it didn't really look like Jackie did any damage to her. But did you get a chance to train with her beforehand?
Yes. Oh my god, I'm so excited about this. I did this with Ryan Phillips on my first match, right? So, and he was just like, okay, yeah, I'll help you, I'll help you. And then when he saw that I really cared about it, he like fully invested. So I felt obligated to pass that along, And so she came along, and we're in the gym. Charlie on TV comes in and out, like I see all the peoples, right? And I'm like, we just really need to focus on this. But she really paid attention to everything that I told her, and I've been like even since my last match from the show, I've like, okay, these are the different things I'm going to do, like approaching my next match or whatever. But basically, do the technique, and I showed her like the difference of power and stuff like that. I was like, this is the most basic set form you could do, but it delivers the most power. And I'm like, if you can nail this down, you could do whatever you want after this match. I was like, but if you beat Jackie Cataline, you're gonna make a name for yourself. You're probably gonna get a contract, and obviously win more money. And then on top of it, like if you could knock out Jackie Cataline, she would have gotten the fight of the night bonus probably. But
Yeah.
I was just I'm excited about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think she's so like I was like way more than me. I think she could definitely be like a superstar of the sport because she's just got the
Yes. I
charisma.
cannot wait to see her back. And I know that sounds, she's probably like, yeah, yeah, whatever, because you picked against me. It's not that I picked against you. I just picked experience over not experience, but Alan was like, no, Petty's gonna be eating her words. So you got me over here eating my words. She was so exciting up there, and like the little robot and her dancing. Like, I cannot wait to see her back.
Yes, yes. Sorry, I
Get
went
her
a
on the
little
December
crazy.
10th card.
Huh?
Or December, not 10th. The Power Slap 10 in December, that card. Get her on that card.
Let's go. Um,
I would like
yeah.
to see them put her with somebody else, and then Jackie and Sheena get their rematch, and then the winners of those go against each other
Oh,
for a
that'd be cool.
belt. But I mean, we need the division to grow.
Yeah, that's true. I am interested to see what happens with that because they might bring in more girls and then bring them back for like Saudi Arabia or something like that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, just keep having the division grow, and eventually Jackie, Sheena, and Robin will meet up again and, battle for the belt.
this is so great. I hope it happens. Again, I'm very sorry. I went off. Robin, I'm sorry. I know I'm a little too excited about your victory there, but truly, like, if from like a coach's perspective, you're like you take like an unmolded person, right? She's like, I have this background. I'm thinking this, and I was just like, this is badass. I truly get to show off whether or not like from a scientific perspective, I'm like, all right, if my stuff works, then this is she's going to be my example of that, basically, right? And she just did it, and I was like, fuck yeah! But then on top of that, excuse my language, she was just like doing the dance and everything. I was like, this
Yeah.
is great. I was like, I couldn't have picked a better person. Yeah,
Yeah. I hope she reaches back out to you, like if she gets a call again to like, hey, like let's tune up, let's fix this, and you guys can video chat or whatever, and let her be your actual protege, because then it'll be like, your project.
yeah. Well, because like, and I'll throw this back out there. Like people don't know this, but Ryan Phillips has never given up being my coach. Like he coached me 2 times. Yeah, I think it was 2 times. Yeah, he coached me 2 times, and then since then he's sent me videos like, and he's brutal. He'll just be like, "You're slappish," like all the stupid
Yeah.
stuff you're doing, and like I really took what he said, and I applied that to like what I showed her because I was like, you know what, he's right. I've been doing this like quick wind up thing, and I didn't even do, I went back and I analyzed the video with Vern. I didn't even wind up that way actually. Like I went further back, but I got so used to doing this that I was like eliminating a lot of power.
Hmm.
Anyway, so that's what I showed her. I was like, look,
Yeah.
you come all the way back
Shout
there.
out to the King of Kings.
Seriously, thank you, Ryan. That's a
All right.
lot. I'm such a rambling person this evening. I'm so
No, you're
sorry.
good. Let's go on to Azael and Eddie Spaghetti. You had Eddie Spaghetti, another foreigner, Canadian. Um,
That's
you had
so
all the
weird to say.
foreigners except for Donnie Pitbull.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
But yeah, so Eddie had me worried there for Azael for a quick second, but Azael does this incredible thing where he's just like, I'm awake,
yes.
And then you're coaching in the corner. I heard you yelling at Eddie, and it saved him because that second round it could have been a knockout.
Yep.
So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, you guys did not get the win, but what was your experience like there with Eddie?
I felt bad because I love Azael, and I robbed him of a fight of the night bonus, and so Azael, I'm so sorry. I was like, no, let's get up, Eddie, get up. I won't let this happen in my
He got
life.
up. It was so funny though too, because he got up and he was like, like like I'm up, and he was like wobbly still, and then he started walking like, but it was great.
It was like you are the champion, bud. Way to go. No, he was good. I think he was so bummed after that because he felt like he couldn't deliver enough power,
Yeah.
and that he wasn't going to be able to win. And I wasn't convinced because basically he knocked out he did the exact same thing to Azael. Azael just happened to hit the podium first. So it's like
Yeah.
if
But I mean, Azael does that every time. Like his second time going with John, every
Mhm.
time John slapped him on their they had their rematch or whatever, every time John slapped him, he would go and his head wouldn't even hit the table. But that
yeah,
table did kind of wake him up that time. I was like, I was scared because Azael's my dog.
El Perro.
El
Yeah.
perro. All right, and then we have Nate and James, which I was I like them both, but I feel like I'm closer to Nate, so I was kind of like rooting for him. I was like, you're the veteran coming in. You got to show that these young cat and dogs like that. There's levels to this, whatever. But congratulations to you guys because James did pull off the win. When I was watching it, I was like, what? I didn't like that call. I did
Yeah.
watch it back. Um, do I was so confused because during the live stream, I was like, is he flinching? Is he rolling? And then like the guys I was watching with, no, he's not doing either. So I was like, what is he doing? So like when James would get slapped by Nate, he would like, I don't know, kind of looked like a roll or flinch, but apparently it wasn't. I don't know. Um,
You just calling out my guys. You just hating on the
yeah,
blue team
no, but
right
I
now.
mean, there was. Well, I'm questioning you from your perspective because from my perspective, it looked different.
This feels like
But
you're
no,
just raining on
congratulations to
our
James. He
parade.
went in there and he did his thing and he got the win.
I thought so. I thought so. I love James, and
No, yeah, he's a
James,
character.
he is. You know his little walk that he does, and also, yeah, he's so
Yeah.
funny. He's like he's always bouncing around. Like I don't really know. I feel like he's like a cartoon character sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
um,
I will say though, when Mark Smith was like, shoulders out, chin up, and like waist on the podium, Dan Helling was like, he's violating the podium right now because it's like, what
that
is
was
he?
so
Because
funny.
like the way he was like making him stand,
I
so
loved
that
it
was
so
fun.
much. I was like, oh damn, Dan, like you gotta do him dirty like that.
Yeah. Oh, could you hear Dan? And you said you can hear Bisping, so could you hear Dan too?
Oh yeah, yeah, I could hear
Oh,
him like
damn.
night day. I was probably like 10 to 12 feet away from him while this was like going on. Yeah, maybe 15 total, but like they were within earshot, and they're being loud on the microphone because he's got a loud crowd behind him and everything like that. But I could hear just about anything, being said. So it
Yeah,
was
that
good.
was funny.
Yeah, and
All right, this next one was Paige and Chelsea. I was really excited for Chelsea's debut. Um, it sadly ended in a draw. Hopefully, in the future, we see no draws ever again. They give them another round. I did see, however, like I'm saying, like during the live, I did not notice this, but then I saw some clips online, and it did look like Paige stepped, and Paige clubbed her. So I'm like, how did they ended in a draw when Paige lost a point for clubbing and then they missed the step. But it is what it is. They're kind of like Jackie and Robin. I would like to see them like go on their own ways and then eventually keep winning and come back and get a title match. But what was it like working with Chelsea Dodson? Freaking John Dodson's wife, legend, by the way, and newcomer into the sport. And she is a huge fan of the sport. She went out there and looked great. So whatever you did, like I was so proud of her.
oh, thank you. Yeah, she gave me way too much credit. She worked with her husband a lot. They had like one of those heads, which is really good. It's actually probably better than the bob, like because it's a little bit thicker. So you're getting a lot more like work with that or whatever. So I just give him the majority of the credit there. She gave me a lot, but I asked her. We walked up, and she said, "Oh, I want to train with you," and we never did. And then so we're walking out there, and I was like, honestly, I didn't know who he was, so I feel really bad about that. So like, I thought it was so funny because she was like, "Yeah, my husband does like MMA and stuff," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, I was like, "Well, that's good," but like, and I was like, "Professionally," she was like, "Yeah," and this is like a minute before we have to walk out, right? So I'm like, "Well, what do you need from me?" I like because that's what I asked everybody before we walked out. I just said to him, and I because I want to be their coach. It's like an individual sport. It's like, what do you need from me? Because we're not really in a true coach to athlete sort of relationship, but I can micro that, for you. I just need to know what it is you would like when we go out there. And she was like, I just need you, just see anything, like just shout it out at me that you think I should do differently or whatever, like my feet placement or what this, that, and the other. Just let me know. Um, and I was like, are you sure? Is there anything like in particular that you need me to do to like get you hyped or whatever? And she just looked over me and she was like, just tell me I'm a bad bitch while I'm out there. So I don't know if you heard me, but I yelled that to her. I was like, "You a bad bitch, Chelsea."
I freaking love her for that.
Yeah.
Uh, that's so awesome. Yeah,
Yes.
I guess I actually kind of like that you didn't know who her husband was because I feel like some people treat her differently because of that, and you just saw her as a power slap athlete and as a person for like who she is.
Yeah.
So it kind of took that off the field for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as I mean, I feel like coaches
What do you
should
think about
be
this?
allowed to
What do you think
challenge
about this
calls.
maneuver? What is
Yeah, I
this?
feel like
What
coaches
is
should be
going
allowed
on
to
right here?
challenge calls though.
I agree. I think it's such bullshit. Okay, like let
But
me
I
rant
feel like,
about
hold on,
this.
I feel like it can be abused at the same time because if they're trying to buy their athlete more time in recovery, but like if it's like a legitimate thing, maybe if the challenge doesn't go your way, you lose the point instead of the other person. I don't know how they can counter that, but I would like the NFL, you can throw the red flag out and challenge the call or something that's not being called, and then to do the official review because it's kind of hard seeing people lose when they should win or whatever the case is. Not specifically for this match, but it just came to my mind.
No, I agree. I agree, and I think like in the past they've dabbled in this, and so they've kind of like experimented. And previously, I really thought that this was still something that was going on, but they've nixed it for now. But previously, there was like a one or two matches, power slap championships, where they allowed the coaches to be a little bit more involved with that process. Like they can be like, hey, like, and it could be as simple as like you get a red flag or something, and one of two things could happen. It's a very simple process. Either you get one time where you can call it out, or it has to be where like a ref can, like throws out a card, and then if you also raise a card as like a coach, then then there can be some sort of like dialogue about whether or not the call was legitimate, or if there was a questionability, or Nevada Athletic Commission, like someone like raises their hand and you raise your hand, and it's like what I mean. Like there's a very simple
Yeah.
process. Um, my biggest thing about that match, because we're not there yet, but I was so mad because you mentioned Darren not getting this called, but and I wish this is the only thing I wish Chelsea would have done because it would have resulted in her not having a draw. But like she waited for she knew Paige would do this, right? Full flinch. That is a full flinch, right? She
Yeah.
waited for her to flinch, and then she would swing. So she would be like one, two. Paige would do this, and she would hold it, and then she would slap. And I'm like, she probably reduced the amount of power she could deliver because of
Yeah.
that. But number two, it also prevented Paige from getting a flinch call because at that point she's fully. But at the end of the day, she's not doing the chin thing and all this other stuff. And like Paige Van Zant, I love you. You're an incredible UFC fighter. Like I
Legend.
legend, right? But we're talking about calls and the fact that this was a draw, but she couldn't keep her head. I was like, are you kidding me? Like Chelsea Dawson definitely won that match. There's no doubt about it. This is the only call that I'm definitely going to say that's absolute bullshit. I
Yeah.
said it out there, and I say it again, absolute bullshit. So yeah,
Love it. Love the energy. Yeah, no, I was really happy. I can't wait to see Chelsea come back. One thing I did notice is, and the refs kind of let this get away. Um, Chelsea was smacking Paige's cheek because Paige's chin was too tucked. And
exactly.
all the other matches, they were like, nope, chin out, chin out, chin out, and hers was like completely.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
so Chelsea couldn't find the chin because the chin was too tucked. You know what I mean?
Right.
If she would
Right.
have went to go find the chin, she would have hit the shoulder.
Exactly.
But I
Exactly.
mean, hey, like I said, let those two go keep competing. Let them come back for a title. It's going to be a great story. Their first match ended in a draw. Let them fight for the title when that division's ready for a belt.
Absolutely. I like that a lot. And again, Paige, legend. Please do not consider it disrespect. This is merely from a coach's perspective. I was upset for my fight.
Yeah. Coach's perspective on the other side.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
All right. And then we get to John Davis and Isaiah Quinones. This one I had a hard time with because I really like both of them. I didn't want either to lose, but I was going to I'm really excited for Isaiah, but I'm really like my heart's broken for John. But either way, they're both creating their own histories. They're both great guys. You coached the winner So
Yeah.
what did you think about their match and all that kind of stuff? Because Isaiah did flinch, and I think it did cause John wrist injury. But besides that, I mean, you cannot very discredit Isaiah. He's got incredible power and does things that people cannot do in that division.
Absolutely. I thought it was cool that John is Army, Isaiah is Navy, and I was Air Force. I thought that was pretty badass. So
Yeah.
I was excited just for that reason alone. I was like, "This is the service members match. Let's go." Anyway, I was like, "Man, they didn't hype that up enough. That could have been so cool." But anyway, they like the Army versus the Navy or whatever because I
Yeah,
think the
that's
Army.
the most like rivalry football team.
Exactly right. I was like, I'm pretty sure the game was playing like that week or something too. I was like, ooh, you could have
Yeah.
definitely segued that. But anyhow, yeah, I was so excited. I love Isaiah. His family is super cool. Like I've gotten to know him a lot. I love John Davis too. Don't get me wrong, but John's been my coach before. Shout out to John Davis. No one wants anybody to lose at the end of the day. You're not like, well, let me rephrase that. There's a few people where you're like, yeah, like suck you. It feels good that they lost, but like with those two guys, they're both great people, and so I was blessed enough to be like Isaiah. There was like minimal coaching that needed to happen. We did hit the pad a few times, and I kind of helped reaffirm like his technique or whatever. But you could hear it sounded like a bullet when he was hitting the freaking pad. I was like, "Ooh, shit!" I was like, "Man, I don't want to be on the other side of that." Like,
Yeah.
um, and he nailed it down. And I think his personal complaint, even after the match, was I can't seem to get it. He's like, it's always on three for me. He was like, I just want to get it on number one. And it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes it's difficult to find that chin, find exactly where it is, but he does find it. And so that was cool. I think a lot of I gave him the same advice I gave a lot of people, which was when you walk out there, visualize walking through the slab, right? Like, or, like visualize yourself eating the slap and going through it and then slapping the next time around because that's like being able to see yourself past the slap. I feel like prevents your body from like prematurely like falling or blacking out or whatever because you know it's coming, but you also anticipate that you are going to continue to participate. So but yeah, so that's basically it. That's all I did for him. I mean, like outside of that, I gave him some tips. He was really pissed when they called. He was like, I didn't flinch. And I was like, I mean, you kind of flinched. He was like, what? How did I do? Like,
The
you kind
second
of like,
one was more questionable though.
it
Like the
was.
first one, like I'm like, okay, you did flinch, but the second one I was like, did you really? I don't know.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh, it's minimal movement. And it, like, I hounded them during the rules meeting, like earlier in the week, because, like, for me on the show, they really magnify. I don't know if you see it, but there's like a circle and they like magnify my area. But like, I do, like, I just barely do this, right? And that's technically allowed. And I had the ref show us. I was like, well, what's considered egregious? And it's like if it changes the trajectory of the slap. And when they're doing it, they always overdo it. But I did this, right? Like I took a bite. Is that like, and I had them declare, like, is that a flinch or not? And they're like, no, if you're just biting and it doesn't change the trajectory of the slap, then it's not a flinch. And so for Isaiah's second, I don't know that that's a flinch, right? But the first one, it was pretty obvious that it was, and that's the one that he was most upset about. I was like, bro, you flinched. Like,
Yeah.
so,
I think he braces for impact too late. Because
Mhm.
if you do it early enough, like how Paige was doing,
Right.
like how Paige kind of did it like too early and then Chelsea would slap, then they didn't call it. You know what I mean? So I think once he fine tunes that, like he's going to be, I mean, he's the champ. So I mean, there's nothing really else to say about that. But that was just like my biggest critique. But yeah, that's awesome. And then we got the last match, also ended in a draw. The crowd chanting, one more round, one more round. I mean, I
Great.
really
Love
do
that.
hope that they can get this changed by the commission before December. I don't know how long it's going to take,
Yeah.
but it should never end in a draw. And personally, I know you're going to say I'm coming for your people again. I don't think Dumpling did enough to win. So I truly believe that the only round that Dumpling won was the round that they took the point from Hawaiian, because it did not look like the slaps were doing much to him, where Dumpling kept falling into the podium and wobbling, and I don't know, I just think Hawaiian did the most to him. But I mean, I can't wait for the rematch so it can finally get settled and it won't be a draw and we'll have the we'll know. But yeah, what was it like coaching the Dumpling, because he doesn't speak English, so you had
Mhm.
another Was it a translator or a whole nother coach in the corner?
Both.
So he was a translator plus coach.
Yep.
So yeah, what was that like for you?
It was really weird, and for the whole week, I kept trying to tell him I was his coach, and he would just like blow me off the whole week. And I was like, I know that you speak enough English to understand that I'm your coach. And he would just say, I know English, and then he would just like keep walking, and I'm like, all right, I don't know what to do about it. And then later, I just thought, do I even need to be here? And so I asked him because I was like the UFC and the Power Slap like staff. I was like, do you guys want me to be down here? Because he's got this guy and he's got this guy, and they're like, you will be down there. And I was like, okay. Like I was just like, I don't speak this guy's language. He won't even pay attention to me. So they had to get the translator. The translator is kind of fighting me about this. He was like, why do you need to be down there? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know that I should be down there. It's like, it might be confusing to him. And they're like, no, Alan is the coach. He has to be down there. And I was like, all right. I was like, I want to be down there, but I also don't want to interfere with this man's, like, I know he's the dumpling, right? You know, so it's like Dana loves him. Everybody loves him. He's the guy of the sport, right? I'm like, I don't want to interfere with this process or whatever. So I'm like, I want to be down there. Don't get me wrong. But so I legitimately am having a spat with this translator. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm just telling you what they told me. They had to bring the guys in, and then it was just back and forth. And so it's kind of awkward because I go through all these matches. They come downstairs. The translators, I'm sorry. I was like, I get it. I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I'm like, I will just be there in case something egregious happens. I can point it out to him. And I will say the only thing that I helped Dumpling with, and he did change it like right away, and I thought it was super cool because I was like, this guy probably, has no reason to listen to me really at the end of the day. He's got these other people and all sorts of stuff. And like, I just told him that he needed to widen his stance because he would take a wide stance to do a slap, but then he would like less than shoulder width apart on his defensive stance. And I could see that the Hawaiian rocked him real hard on one of the hits. I was like, you need to tell him to widen his stance. Immediately he did it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I truly believe that's the only reason he stood up for the remainder of the match. Because if you go back and watch it, there was one hit where the Hawaiian, like mid-match, like totally rocked the shit out of him. And I was like genuinely concerned. I was like, I don't know what to do here. They came and checked my mic even at one point because I didn't know what to do. I was like, he's like, every time I would go up there, like you got the translator going, you got his coach speaking in Russian. His Russian coach doesn't understand English either, which is like absolutely fantastic. You got the ref, you got one ref, like this situation going on. You got the translator, and then you got this other guy who's trying to coach him. And then so I'm trying to talk to the translator and the ref, and I like, at one point I kind of gave up because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know how I can help other than tell him about the stance thing, which totally worked out. But like, there was one point, and I'm not gonna lie, I was the driving force behind him taking the next slap because he could have taken the win. Because we're all confused by this rule. I didn't know you could get like a point because of like the flinching or whatever it was. He got a point regardless, and then on top of that, he could take a point. But typically, you can only take the point or you can take the slap. But they're like, you can just take the point and win the match. And if you go back and watch it, I don't know if they show it from the camera angle, but the translator and him are going back, and the translator says he's worried that he's gonna like he's gonna miss or something, and then he's gonna lose the match because of it. And I was like, I'm not coming out here coaching this guy to have him wussed out like in front of all of Abu Dhabi. I was like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So I just do this to him because he can't. He has no idea what I'm going to say. We don't have enough time, right? So I just go. I was like, that's all I did. And I go down the staircase because this guy was like giving me the glare, and I was like, whatever. So I went down the staircase, and anyway, it turns out he decided he would take the slap. But prior to that, they came to check my mic because I was so quiet, and I was like, I don't know how to help you. So I was like, do they want me to say something? And the guy checking my microphone was like, yeah, they really want you to say something. I was like, oh shit. And I was like, let's go, Dumpling. And he looks at me and he's like,
oh, they wanted the sound bites.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I will say though, the time that they took to explain the point thing and the extra slap, it gave Dumpling more time to recover.
Right.
So that was kind of like unfair to Crazy Wine, but at the same time, they need to make sure that everything is clear to him.
I don't know that they should though, because he's already had one match. It makes sense on his first match to do that, right? But past his first match, he should know. He should know exactly what to do.
That rule was very confusing though too, because they did give Isaiah a point too.
They did, didn't they?
because they said 1 point flinching and then they gave another slap, which there was like a whole debate about it on my stream. And it was like, I thought they don't take the points. They're like, no, I think they told him the point or the slap. So then they take the slap, then the point doesn't matter. But then Isaiah knocked him out. So we never saw the scorecards or anything like that.
Right. Right.
But then the crazy Hawaiian, we see, I guess they gave 2 rounds to Dumpling, 2 rounds to Hawaiian.
Yeah.
And then the 1 round was a draw, I guess.
Yep. Yep. No, I don't know. It was very interesting, and it was I truly loved it because I was standing up there, and Frank and I are just standing right next to each other, and you just hear one more round, and we both loved it. So we both just kind of like, one more
Yeah. No, they
round.
need to change that for real.
Yeah, that would be so cool. A sudden death round. Oh my god, that
Yeah.
would be amazing. Yeah.
But it has to like end at that round. Like they can't be like, 20 rounds or whatever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it literally is one more round or whatever. If it's a draw, yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me. It's like, why not one more slap? It's like gets everybody
Yeah.
going. Like, I don't know. Anyway, yeah,
It gets the people going.
exactly.
Yeah. Well,
There you
that
go.
was the end of the matches in Abu Dhabi. We got Power Slap 10 coming up. We have 3 title matches on that. One of the guys is behind you on a poster. Actually, 2 of them are
Who is it? Oh yeah, they are.
DeBell and Wolverine. And
and
then we got Blackburn. So they're all going to go for title defenses. And yeah, if you're not on the card, I still hope to see you in Vegas. I will be there, but I hope to see you on the card. I want to say thank you so much for being here and recapping this. I loved learning about your experience because you had a very unique experience, I would say the least, being a short notice and getting all of the foreigners, and you did a really great job. So
Thank you so much. I hope I rambled about this, and I really appreciate you taking the time with it. I don't know where to start because it was such a rush process, but there was so much that happened within the amount of time that I took to like travel out there and like the lead up to it. It was just a very short turnaround, but also so many things occurred. So thank you for allowing me to share my piece with everybody. But,
of course. Well, I appreciate you, and I'll be talking to you soon, Alan. Thank you so much.